to make money in the stock market. The strategy is to buy before anyone else does. So, what is the thing that nobody is looking right now? Has your passport expired? Hi, I'm Frankie. Welcome back to my fuck show. When COVID-19 became a pandemic, Malaysia had imposed a ban on air travel to limit imported infection in the country. Since then, our passports are as good as toilet paper. On March 5th, 2022, the Prime Minister confirmed that Malaysia is ready to reopen its borders to the world again. I believe many of you can't wait to take the skies again. But is your passport still valid? How many expired passports are there in the country? Who supplies our passport to the government? That's what I want to talk about today and help you to see things before other investors do. Datasonic is the company responsible for making our passports today. In fact, as an ICT solutions provider, they are also the only supplier to the government for this as well. On the commercial side, they make this and this. In a nutshell, they do anything related to the provision of secure ID and smart card personalization. As security is increasingly important with technology advancement, there's no doubt that the government is also looking at ways to use technology to protect the country. One of which is to make sure our Malaysian passport is so highly sophisticated that it is impossible to make fake copies. And yes, kudos to the government and Datasonic, the Malaysian passport is one of the best in the world. And many countries are either learning how we do it or come and look for Datasonic to produce similar products for themselves. There are 3 secrets why a Malaysian passport is better than most other countries. These secrets are hidden inside the passport chips, the booklet, and the polycarbonate biodata page. In the past, Datasonic was only supplying the biodata page. Passport chips was handled by another company known as Iris, while the booklet was printed by Percetakan Keselamatan Negara. But in late 2016, Datasonic managed to take over all the other 2 components and became the one-stop passport provider for the Malaysian government. It managed to kick out the other suppliers because the quality of its products was said to be superior, while the selling price was lower than them. For example, the passport chip alone was sold 15% cheaper than the older version, giving a total savings of 56.3 million ringgit to the government over a period of 5 years. Despite the impressive track record, Datasonic has been under the spotlight for the wrong reason since the 14th general election. For a very long time, many people wondered how Datasonic convinced the government to award itself with all 3 components of the passport contracts. Wouldn't that mean putting all the security risk into one single company?
No. He's got a point.
In 2018, a corruption crackdown launched by the then federal government had implicated Datasonic's ex-deputy managing director and major shareholder, Mr. Chew Ben Ben, who was alleged to have given 6 million ringgit to him, the former Home Affairs Minister and Deputy Prime Minister. How come I'm not surprised at all? Long story short, Ben Ben, who has a 17.4% stake in Datasonic, resigned as the Deputy Managing Director in March 2021, while our friend continued to be an active politician in the country. At this point, Datasonic's reputation among investors was crushed. Rumors were that Datasonic would lose all its government contracts due to the expose. Because of that, its share price crashed to a historical low in that year. Nonetheless, Datasonic did a good job despite the controversies. In the end, not only did Datasonic not lose any of its contracts, it managed to clinch more jobs from the government. This was a surprise to the market. They thought the company's earnings would go down the drain if it lost any of the contracts. But now, it's the total opposite. With more contracts, earnings would be booming. Those who sold the stocks quickly bought back the shares. This became the inflection point on its share price, which went up by 46.6% in the first half of 2019. You see, although Malaysia has the best passport in the world, our national security has been long exposed to risk with the current Malaysia immigration system. That dinosaur was built in the 90s. It is not a centralized system, but consists of different components and databases operated by different vendors. So messy, therefore, the authorities can never be able to find the right data to conduct threat assessment when necessary. Touch wood, if terrorists entered Malaysia, Thailand. It's very hard to trace them with the current system. The government knows this is a time bomb that needs to be defused. But just like what happened with the nation's 5G rollout, there had been a couple of U-turns in strategies from introducing the Sistem Kawalan Immigration Nasional or SKIN project to the National Integrated Immigration System to replace SKIN. In this process, the government was slapped with a lawsuit by Prestarian Berhad, the contractor responsible for the SKIN project, to claim compensation for terminating it. 733 million ringgit to be exact. That's my money way. Please lah, spend my tax money wisely. If not, give you unlimited amount of tax also not enough, man. Anyways, the new NIIS is said to be able to save the government as much as 1 billion ringgit. I have good news and bad news for you. The good news is that Datasonic is being shortlisted as one of the contenders for the NIIS project. And it does make a lot of sense for the company to get the job. Imagine Datasonic's passport tied together with Datasonic's immigration system. Bagai mangga dengan kunci. Perfect fit. But the bad news is, before the government could make its decision, COVID-19 pandemic hit us. No need to decide already lor. Since the borders are all closed, where got national security threat? Talk later lah. And so, this project has been dragged until today. In these 2 years, the government has been extending Datasonic's contracts in shorter periods to fulfill the nation's demand for IC and passports. Some investors argue that short-term contracts are risky because the government can switch vendors anytime. However, there's no sign of the government doing that so far. In fact, the government extended Datasonic's contract to continue supplying passports starting November 2021, worth 280 million ringgit. On top of that, Datasonic has also accepted a letter of award worth 50.1 million ringgit from the Home Affairs Ministry for the supply of MyCard, MyTentera, MyPoka raw cards and consumables to JPN for a period of 12 months starting February 2022. These two back-to-back contract wins further strengthen the sentiment on Datasonic and set the scene for an immediate earnings recovery with a total order book of 450 million ringgit. According to Datasonic Managing Director Wan Zalizan Wan Juso, it is estimated that about 4 million Malaysian passports have currently expired. Be it for business or leisure, we just can't wait to travel again. Life has been so dull until there's even a Malaysian Airlines ASMR on YouTube.
Perhatian kepada semua penumpang penerbangan antarabangsa.
This pent-up demand for travel will boost the number of passport renewals and issuance of new travel documents. Before COVID, Datasonic used to supply 200,000 passports a month to the government. After COVID, nobody needed their passports. Demand also fell by 85%. Now, as people start to renew their passport to prepare to travel again, it will help Datasonic's earnings for sure in the coming quarters. Today, many European countries, the Middle East, India and Australia have already relaxed their requirements for international travelers. Meanwhile, new air-vaccinated travel lanes involving Malaysia, Thailand and Cambodia will begin on March 15, 2022 as part of joint efforts to reopen international borders. With that, people immediately think of AirAsia or Capital A as it is known today. People will also remember Malaysia airports. But very often, people just forget that the prerequisite to travel overseas is to have a passport. That's a simple investment proposition which I notice many people overlook. Sometimes, stocks are cheap for good reasons. I cannot stress enough that companies that rely on government jobs have very huge political risk. Maybe Datasonic deserves to be cheap? At the time of recording this video, we are 1 week away from the Johor snap election. Based on past events, if the opposition coalition took office, Datasonic's contracts could be under scrutiny once again, and maybe, just maybe, they might unearth more scandalous issues between Datasonic and the government. On the other hand, BN is gunning for 2/3 majority victory in Johor. If they succeed, you think yourself like what will happen? That's all we have for today. #fuck.